Hello, my friends who are with us here on Sun and Moon Yoga Studios YouTube portal. And my name is aLex Levin. So many ways we can connect these days. So many ways. And I'm really glad to be here with you. As usual, I'm not teaching my classes right now, but when I would prepare to teach, I usually have 2 or 3 themes that are vying for attention. And well, anyway, the edge won out just before. So the edge, and I have been thinking about this, very related to last week's topic. And by the way, I'll talk for a few minutes, maybe as many as 10, and then we'll sit quietly and still together for 12 minutes. So last week's topic was the upside of vulnerability. And how interesting to inquire into a topic and what it brings us. Maybe you find this. You focus on vulnerability. I landed in a feeling a couple days later in a very vulnerable place. It's like it came to life in more technicolor, and this is the benefit of inquiry. So when we inquire, and we really inquire with a willingness to be open, a willingness to be changed, is a quote I heard a few months ago, and that, in a sense, when I heard that and pondered it, I sort of liked it, and then I thought, whoa, I could feel the resistance to it. I could feel that, wait a minute, do I really want to change? There's some things I do not want to change about myself. But I think it's in that willingness and that openness, that phrase, willingness to be changed, it doesn't necessarily mean like in a conversation that you'll just take on what the other person is telling you or their opinion or their view, but that that I might grow in a way that I hadn't if I had not opened myself to that view, that person, that event. So you may have heard about this idea. A lot of different trainings. I've seen this in different kinds of trainings where there's an inner circle drawn, one circle, and it's labeled comfort zone. Then a circle around that is drawn, and then another circle around. And as Eric Schiffman tells us, expand your comfort zone from your comfort zone. So if we jump too far to that outer circle, that third circle, we can self-sabotage ourselves because we're not really prepared to deal with what the edge might bring. And so here come all our practices, and especially meditation for me lately, that commitment, a commitment to being still, no matter what thought comes, no matter what sensation comes, no matter what interruption comes, then that training of our nervous system, of our mind that is not only in the head but throughout the body, that knowing, that experience, those maps. One benefit is that we get to see more clearly when we're out off the mat in the world, how we come to those same edges and we're met with something. How do we meet it? How do we meet the unexpected, the hurtful, the surprising in a confounding and various ways that we react? And so by growing that ability to pause and be still and welcome it, we have an option to grow. We grow the option to grow, to choose to really respond in the moment with the most groundedness, the most warm heart, and the most luminous, clear mind. A teacher who visited here, I think he lives in Southern California, Saul David Ray, many years ago, 10, maybe more. I heard him say this wonderful phrase, and I haven't heard it from anyone else, but I love it. He said, if you're not living on the edge, you're taking up too much space. If you're not living on the edge, you're taking up too much space. But living on the edge, as I said, requires a kind of balance, a kind of courage to stay not stray too far, or to meet the things that might frighten us, scare us away, shame us, might make us uncomfortable. So those qualities I just mentioned of grounded body, of rootedness, I motioned to the lower dantian area and the legs and pelvis. We can feel it there, and that supports us as well as illuminates what might be next or gives us clarity. And that warm heartedness, especially toward ourselves, that tenderness. I confess I'm working on it. A lot of times I have high expectations of myself as well as others, and I'm pretty harsh with myself. So I'm beginning to see where I could be more kind and gentle, forgiving. And then the clarity of mind, clear blue sky, perhaps luminosity, can also help us as we cultivate that. So it's both something that we can cultivate. There are resources that are, the seeds are definitely there within us. We have it in some way. And if, when I mention these, and perhaps even during our sitting, if you notice, well, I don't have that, maybe question that thought, maybe question and see, maybe in some small way, in some experience, you do have a luminous mind. Maybe it was just fleeting, but I bet it's more than that even. And so as we remember that, as we flesh it out and feel how it's alive in our body, important piece, and why yoga is so valuable and uh, effective, is that we include the body. Embodied is a big term these days. So when we feel things where we may be being still, but we have the capacity to really feel them fully and see the technicolor. One last thought about I have two last thoughts about the worthwhile aspects of this practice. So we get to have this opportunity to grow and evolve and change. That can be scary, but it's also exciting, the thrill of the edge. And um, just lost my train of thought. And we cultivate these states. Well, I'll jump to the third one and maybe I'll remember the second one. The third one of just sitting and being with our edges is to go beyond the edges, is to where there are no edges. And maybe this one is even the more important one, that idea of no separation that I spoke of a few weeks ago, where we relax into our truest self, into that self that is prior to the self of many hats, the mother, the gardener, the lawyer, the bus driver, the sweeper, the teacher, the daughter, the husband, the pet owner. And we go beyond that to sense our more eternal nature, our infinite and eternal nature. And I'm just getting tastes of that, to be truthful. And I used to be, I grasped at that. I really wanted that a lot. And I now see it's really not possible without also embracing all the other hats. But it might be somehow, and I'm inquiring into this, somehow it is the source of all the others. All right, so I've lost that thread, but I may come back to it while we sit. So let yourself find a comfortable positioning, a seat if possible, and I have support under my pelvis, a little bit under my knee. Make sure you're feeling at a temperature that you can sustain a stillness in for these 12 minutes. And you can also choose to be sitting with your back against something, against the wall or a chair, or even lying down or legs up the wall. So choose what is right for you today. And there's a mix of things that informs that. Part of it is what your head feels like it's coming from your head. Part of it may come from your heart. Part of it comes for sort of your whole body feeling, how tired you are, how energized you are, how free of pain, how in pain. Take it all in and see what shakes out for your posture, which is really, really an important part of this sit. So let's start with our bell and a bow. So finding the ground through your senses. Especially in the parts that are touching the ground, that are directly in contact, the edges of the body, connecting to the edges of carpet, zafu, floor. And a sense of that foundation of the pelvis, legs, or if you're lying down on your back, your whole back body. So you might also notice and fold in this second for me after my tripart mantra, ground sound breath. I'm taking breath second today, breath. Notice that you're breathing. And it can be very helpful if you have trouble settling to dedicate your attention to 3 full breaths, just watching them as they are, feeling them. Anytime you feel like you lose yourself in thought or some virtual journey, you can, when you remember that celebratory moment, you can choose to come back to sense the breath, this gift of life, ever flowing. And you might also lightly let your attention, capture sound. Ride the sounds as they're coming to you, through you, out, perhaps away from you. And sound is really a catchphrase for all that's around us and comes to us and moves away. Temperature and movement of air in your space. The sound of little Rue, my dog on the couch, snoring. The light. And I even include thoughts in this blend that might come forcefully or might barely touch. So lightly you can touch to ground, sound, breath. But with some openness around, as if to feel what's prior to all that. To sense this beingness that is the primary support, even where our rootedness, our warm-heartedness, and our clear-mindedness come from. Take the backward step. Some of the edges that you meet will be easy to not react to, just let come and go. Some may grip you. No matter how forceful, how super glue that grip feels, it's still temporary. You're seeing it from your larger self. Some edges may thrill you. Again and again, sense the one who sees all that. Transition from our stillness and silence to the next thing. Let yourself linger with the bell. This change of state from literally a change of brain waves. And I will read you, to help this transition and make it gentle, this poem, one of my favorites, another by David White. Everything is waiting for you. Your great mistake is to act the drama as if you were alone, as if life were a progressive and cunning crime with no witness to the tiny hidden transgressions. To feel abandoned is to deny the intimacy of your surroundings. Surely, even you, at times, have felt the grand array, the swelling presence, and the chorus crowding out your solo voice. You must note the way the soap dish enables you, or the window latch grants you freedom. Alertness is the hidden discipline of familiarity. The stairs are your mentor of things to come. The doors have always been there to frighten you and invite you, like edges. And the tiny speaker in the phone is your dream ladder to divinity. Put down the weight of your aloneness and ease into the conversation. The kettle is singing even as it pours you a drink. The cooking pots have left their arrogant aloofness and seen the good in you at last. All the birds and creatures of the world are unutterably themselves. Everything is waiting for you. So I'd love to hear if you share through any of our media or the threads under this post what your edges are or how your meditation practice is or anything about this practice. Thanks for joining me here. So we are here on YouTube, East Coast time, 10 a.m., Monday through Friday with asana practice. And I'm here on Sunday mornings for this meditation, 10 a.m. Eastern time. And then recordings are here for you. So waiting for you. And also check us out at sunandmoonstudio.com, other offerings. Ciao, ciao.